What up, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy P. Skip. Welcome to the best half hour of your entire Tuesday. You know what time it is. It's time to get into his course. My squad with me, T-Mac.
Hola.
Chili Will.
Gracias, amigos.
Let's do this. Proverbs 18 and 21 in the Amplified says this. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it and indulge in it will eat its fruit and bear the consequences of their words. Now, I brought this scripture up because today we're going to delve into this whole Deshaun Watson situation. And here's kind of the time frame of what has happened and why I said this. On January 29th of this year, Deshaun Watson requested a trade and from the Houston Texans NFL football team. And the Houston Texans were saying, listen, we're going to do all we can to keep Deshaun Watson. As far as we know right now, he's a Texan. And as far as we're concerned, he's a Texan for life or until his contract ends. Deshaun said, no, I'm out of here. I don't want to be a part of this organization anymore. And on March 21st of this month, accusers came forth from attorney Tony Busby said he is building a case against Deshaun Watson and will submit evidence on behalf of Houston Texans quarterback's accusers, accusing him of sexual misconduct just this week. He wrote this Saturday. Now, Ashley Solis, whose attorney is Busby, said what was the first woman who came forth as the John Doe. She held an emotional conference on where 22 more folks came out and said, you know what? Now, since she came out, we coming out too. He done touched us. He done felt on us. He done raped us. Now, mind you, I'm not belittling what happened, and I'm not taking Deshaun Watson's side. I'm just putting the facts out there, and then we're going to go from there. Now,
hey, can I put a qualifier in there, Pastor Skip?
Sure.
He's being charged with sexual misconduct, not rape.
Okay, sexual misconduct.
Yeah.
Which is a different thing. That
and inappropriate behavior.
Right, exactly.
Right. Okay.
Which is different than rape. Thank you for clearing that.
Yeah.
So now, this Miss Solis, this happened a year ago, March 22nd. She accused him one day before the year of the event. The year anniversary of the event, she files charges. Now I'm looking at this and I'm going, could this be another Bill Cosby situation where Bill Cosby, this is what allegedly was said about Bill Cosby when he was trying to buy a major television channel. It was either ABC or
NBC
Network.
NBC. When he was trying to buy NBC, all of a sudden accusers from 30 years ago come out and say, you know what? He touched me, he raped me, he drugged me. Not only are we busting up your ability to change the network, but we're also going to put you in jail, in prison. So here's Deshaun Watson. Could this be a conspiracy against the Texans that say, oh, you don't want to play for us? So you ain't playing for nobody else in the entire league. I don't care what you say or what you do. We finna shut down all of your stuff. Matter of fact, we finna ruin you. Now, I'm not saying he did or didn't do these things, but on the same token, there was Aaron Wilson who made an opposing comment against the accusers. Now, Aaron Wilson was a reporter for the Houston Chronicles, and he was fired due to comments he made last month on the EEI Radio in Boston, Wilson, in an interview that remains available online, called the lawsuits against Watson a money grab and ambulance chasing. Wilson also used an unfortunate, inaccurate, and ill-advised term while clumsily attempting to explain Watson's approach to the efforts to resolve the claims before the first lawsuit was filed. So here is a man that said, you know what? I think this is folks trying to bandwagon, trying to get some money off this dude. And the Houston Chronicle said, well, we're firing you for that. And here's something I know. When there was I used to work at Miller Park. I helped build Miller Park when it was coming up. I helped build it.
You mean American Insurance Park?
Well, that's what it is now, but what it was being built was Miller Park.
Okay, gotcha.
While it was being built, there was a lot of stuff that was happening that was going completely against what they said the contract. Like there's supposed to be X amount of minorities working on a job, an X amount of minority ownership and businesses on that job. And what they were doing left and right was they'd hire the minorities, and then some of their guys from a different their company in a different state would lose their job, and they hire them on and release the minorities. So this stuff, the newspaper came and interviewed the minorities on what was happening here. Bud Selig said it cannot go in the newspaper and you will not print it. Put the kibosh on it. Could this be the same situation in Houston, that the owner of the Texans, when this reporter tried to put this out there, said, oh, you can't go against me. You're fired. You're gone. This can't happen no more. So I'm looking at all this, I'm going, there's some real similarities to some things that's going on here. What do you guys take on this? Well, Will, you look like you chomping at the bit, man. So come on.
Well, you guys know, I just recently had an encounter with authorities and court system and all that. Right. So I know firsthand that they do what the heck they want to do. Now, granted, my case was federal. This is not a federal case so far. But I do know that, they don't got to tell the truth, and they can make up stuff, and they can put all kinds of spins on stuff. And there's nothing you can do because they control the narrative. They control the media. They got a license to print money because they doing these things with taxpayers' money. And, it's pretty hard going against the biggest bully on planet Earth as an individual. So from that standpoint, my feeling on it is different, or maybe interesting. My thing is this. I don't think Deshaun Watson will have any problem getting a woman to sleep with him. I just don't see it. He just really got to let them know that he wants to sleep with them. And I'm not saying everybody across the board. I'm just saying it's a whole lot of women who would sleep with a Deshaun Watson or other celebrities. If the person indicated that they were interested in sleeping with them. Right. At massage parlors, I've never been to a massage parlor. So, but from what I'm hearing in the media lately with different events, and what I've seen on TV and, what I've seen on social media, a massage parlor is an interesting experience. I mean, you have to take your clothes off. Right. A lot of times you don't have on anything other than a towel. If you have on a towel and you get an erection, that's going to be obvious. You're not going to be able to, control that if you're aroused by something. My concern with it is, he's not saying that he didn't have sex with some women at a massage parlor. Right. And I'm sure, that's probably something that happens from time to time. What he's saying is that the sex that he had was consensual. In other words, he didn't take anything. They came to a mutual agreement that they were going to be involved in this sexual act together. And that's how it went down. Now, the thing that's strange for me is all of this comes out years later. So it would be, I have no experience at this on either end, but it would be If somebody did some type of violation to you, I don't know why you would take so long to report it to authorities. And if there's a case or some cases in here where it happened more than one time, if I violated you the last time you came here, why would I indulge with you again? Those are some things that I want to know. And the other thing I want to know is, how did all of these accusers end up with the same attorney? That's what I want to know. How do they all end up with the same attorney? So it's some things, some questions that I like to get some answers to. I'm not saying he did. I'm not saying he didn't. What I am saying is, it does look like a big production to mess his character up, so he won't be able to be employed in the National Football League. I see a big effort towards that. I've heard through the media that there was some offers for hush money, or if you pay this, some extortion or some blackmail, and he refused to do it, and that's what brought it to this level. So I'm interested to see it go to court and see it come out. But it could be true. It may not be true. But what's unfortunate for Deshaun Watson, in this country, they make you guilty before proven innocent, when really it's supposed to work the other way, just because the court of public opinion. So I want to see it play out and see all the facts and the details before I'm comfortable with who's the victim here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I echo some of the things that Will said, particularly, the innocence until, proven guilty. So there's supposed to be at least a stature of innocence that Deshaun Watson has, but in this day and age of 24-hour media, him being a celebrity, he has a lot more to lose than the women. And so the defamation of character piece is in the mix. And this is something that'll probably, unfortunately, have to be played all the way out, because, you have a case on both sides. One being a celebrity, anybody of any stature, going back to the high school athlete, star, college, NFL, groupies or somebody you can get with, that's a dime a dozen. It's not hard to get sex with people that'll give it to you. Matter of fact, I was watching a behind the scenes thing with a rock group, Def Leppard, and they said that during their concerts, they had a little fort that was set up under the stage, that in between shows, when they would go change and stuff, they'd go to the little fort and get it on with women in the middle of a concert. I mean, so the access to women is not an issue. So that's one argument. The other argument is that even though you have a person or athlete, a person of this stature that has seemingly unlimited access to women, they still can do deviant things. I mean, Darren Sharper comes to mind. He just got sent to jail for raping a bunch of women. And he was one that I heard women personally talk about, that they thought he was attractive and stuff like that, because he played for the Green Bay Packers. So he was a guy that had the looks and the stature, and still was convicted of doing some stuff that was out of order and violating women. Also, Kellen Winslow II, his dad, Hall of Famer. He, University of Miami, he kind of a star. He recently convicted of, doing sexually deviant things to, senior women. I mean, so both ways can play out. So the allegations are serious, even with the presumption of innocence. And Deshaun Watson, up until this point, we've had no reason to think of him as a guy that was, out of order, out of bounds, a guy that had questionable character, from his days playing as a quarterback at Clemson to his NFL career, Pro Bowl quarterback, leading the team typically, to the playoffs. I just find it a little peculiar that none of this came out until there was a demand for his trade. So there is some fishiness to it as far as the timing. Allegations, are serious. You got to go through, the process, the due process of, fishing all the stuff out, discovery and all that. But like Will talked about, law enforcement, prosecutors, they don't necessarily have to be on the up and up to get you or to trap you or to try and spin you in a certain kind of a light. And I just think that Deshaun Watson, with him being the star, he has way more to lose than his accusers, particularly if these allegations are false, because even before coming to trial, his reputation has already taken some hits. And, you know, scripture in the Bible also that talks about a good name, because Proverbs 22:1, a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. So for Deshaun at this particular moment, I think his football skills are still intact. I think there are a number of teams that if this blows over and he is indeed exonerated, will still be willing to pay him some coin to be their quarterback. But in the meantime, in the interim, his agent is going to have to really earn his bread. And Deshaun himself is going to have to put on a splendid display of behavioral and communicative moxie to get through this. Because right now, the benefit of the doubt, although he might still have it, the margin is getting smaller and smaller with just the sheer number of the folks coming out, despite the fact that nothing has been proven just yet. A lot more eyebrows are being raised. So for him, if he can get a speedy trial to get this done with, I think it'd be better for him, because the longer it drags out, the more of a tarnish it puts, it uglier look. Exactly. Exactly.
Well, let me just add this for me, you know, and I'm sure for you guys too. I know you guys. The most important thing is the truth.
Exactly.
That's what we seek in, the truth. So if he did it, you know, shame on him. But if he didn't, shame on those women. You know, we just want the truth. I mean, we can stand it either way, whichever one of them is right. The only thing we want is the truth. But unfortunately, it's not in the legal system. It's not what's the truth. It's what you can and can't prove. And it's a lot of people who make a living off trying to show that they can prove, or they can situationalize things and put you in different places in light that will make it very difficult for a jury to side with you. We've seen it, you know, in police brutality cases. You know, I'll bring up George Floyd. You know, how you kill a man on national TV and you get a trial, but Mike Vick didn't even kill any of the dogs. Somebody he knew killed the dogs, and nobody seen it, but he went to prison. So it's a whole lot of things that's kind of fishy about how it works in the legal system. But all of the good people, all of the good Christians, all of the people who love the Lord, the only thing we want is the truth, and we can deal with the truth, whichever way it is.
Exactly. And if there is a mechanism in all of this, you know, malaise to get to the truth as soon as possible, let's get to it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a couple things that I think about when I think of this. One is, if he's acquitted of all this, the newspaper ain't gonna sensationalize his being free.
No.
All that was a lie. No, it's gonna be a little headline on the back of the newspaper. Deshaun Watson didn't do it. That's it. But you didn't spend hours on ESPN, all the sports network, you know, all the sports network, every newspaper, sports, every place that it could be, the accusations are out there. And so his name, how do you clean up a name after everybody that trashed it and then aren't willing to put that same effort to fix it? The other thing for me is this: that whole guilty, innocent, or guilty until proven innocent.
No, it's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty.
Right. I know what it's supposed to be.
Oh, okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure you were stating it properly. Okay.
No, I know what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
But here's what it is.
Okay, all right.
Because what they're doing is they're trying to make him guilty in the public's eyes.
Right.
They're already trying to make sure that when the owner says, "Yeah, well, we're cutting ties with Deshaun Watson," well, the public wanted you to do it anyway because you didn't already spent the scenario on how you want him to be seen. You know, me and my wife always say to each other, "Listen, we don't leave each other with our own thoughts. If me and my wife get into stuff, I don't leave her with her thoughts. I leave her with my thoughts. Because if I leave her with her thoughts, they're never going to turn out sweet for me. The Bible says, I know the thoughts and plans that I have for you, saith the Lord." And so what they're doing is the media and whoever is trying to lead the public with their thoughts concerning Deshaun. They're not. That's the thing about the media. The media whole thing is to give you an opinion and try to make you think the way they want you to think. It's not they're not trying to give you a free thought. No. This is the way we want you to think about all this. This is the spin we want you to have. This is how we want you to see that individual or see this situation, and never really give you all the truth. They give you enough truth to make their scenario seem like this is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And so this is what begins to bother me with all this, because, and Deshaun ain't talking. He's like, I'm not commenting. I'm not saying. All I'm going to say is it's not true. I didn't do it. And what I did do, it was consensual. And that's pretty much all he said.
Right.
So because he's been the quietest voice, you know the saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah.
These cats are greasing us up.
Hey, well, a la Donald Trump and Fox News and the Capitol insurrection is a prime example of how, the media can play a role in making a person think a certain way and making people react a certain way. That's a classic example of it right there.
Yeah,
And once again, the truth, everybody know the truth, but the truth is not what we're trying to get at. What we're trying to do is shape thoughts and opinions and make people react to it, which is what you said, Pastor Skip. The media job is to try to plan, and then, their job is to do that, to keep you watching so they can keep charging for commercials. So I understand why they do it.
Right. What's really bothers me is we need to throw away that whole spiel or notion that an eyewitness, is one of your best witnesses. Because we got stuff on video camera, we got stuff, audio, all this, and those eyewitnesses ain't good enough. We got to record it that you did it, and that still ain't enough evidence.
I don't think that there's the problem is with the eyewitnesses. I just think that the problem lies with the individuals who run and govern systems and institutions. Institutional items, systemic items, all of these structures are run by people. And what we need to have are people who are equitable and just and are people of character that execute justice in a way that it ought to be executed. I think that is what the problem is. And the eyewitness piece, going back to your point, Pastor Skip, and to your point, Will, we talked about, Derek Chauvin. We saw what happened. Going back to Rodney King, we saw him get, 56 blows with all these. We see it. There shouldn't be any acquittal. Excessive force is excessive force. And if we have laws on the books that govern excessive force, enforce them when you see them. The fact that George Floyd died, that means it was excessive. If your knee to the back, to the shoulder, to the neck, it was to the neck. But wherever it is on his body, if it was to cause him to calm down and be no longer a threat, he's no longer a threat. That is what the cause or the reason why you do that. If it goes beyond that and it results in somebody dying, that means something wrong happened, and the perpetrator of that wrongdoing ought to be prosecuted and held accountable, just like a Michael Vick is held accountable. If you have no problem in interpreting the rules and going by what the letter of the law is, in that case, do that across the board. Flip side to that same coin, if you have the capacity to show mercy to jokers that look like they did something wrong, do that across the board too. It just seems like in this country, going back to 1619, there has been an imbalance of justice and its consistency in being meted out when you have Black folks involved. This case is similar. When Ben Roethlisberger, the white quarterback from Pittsburgh, was accused of raping them two chicks, I didn't see folks lining all up, him being all on trial and lawyers and all that kind of stuff. It was like, hey, we're gonna make this thing go away. Why isn't this like a similar situation? Media, how come y'all ain't talking about that for all these weeks and stuff? So we understand the double standard. The last piece I'll say, and I'll hush with this, is the fact that if you've been seeing the game being played, no pun intended, that is disproportionately in favor of one group and a disenfranchising of another, you know what the okie doke is. So you need to govern yourself accordingly. So as you are being fed information, you can chew the meat and spit out the bones. If you know that the media machine has a way of spinning something, okay, I'm gonna read between the lines. I ain't just taking what you saying at face value, even if you try and give it to me incessantly day after day. I'll reserve my judgment for my own self. I will think for myself because I'm a grown man and I ain't no spring chicken around these parts. That said, we have to your point, we'll close with this, get to the truth. That's what we're looking for. All this other stuff in between to me is fodder.
Well, look, let me say this is based on the truth. The problem isn't with necessarily the individuals. The problem is with the culture of the institution. The culture of the institution. In a lot of these cases, like you were saying that, with Ben Roethlisberger, we didn't see the gymnast people from Michigan State and from the Olympic team. We didn't see all that. We didn't see that with what's his name at Penn State, Sandusky. We didn't see all that. We didn't see that with the Boys Scouts of America with all of the stuff that went on. We didn't see that with the Catholic Church.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So it has a lot to do with the culture of the institute. Once again, the culture, the police department's issue is not the police. It's the culture of the department. Right. Because with all of y'all sitting around watching this man kill George Floyd or watching these guys beat on Rodney King, the culture of the police department doesn't allow you to do what's right and to stop it. So the problem ain't the individual, it's the culture. Y'all stood around and watched a public lynching and didn't do anything. Why? Because the culture of the institute that you work for says that if you do something, you're going to be in more trouble than you are if you don't. Mm-hmm. I said this to my kids throughout their life. And I constantly say this to anybody who's raising kids. The culture inside of your house has to be stronger than the culture outside of your house. Yeah. That's the key to raising children. So it's the culture of the institutes where being right ain't important, but just us staying in power and keeping control and having access to these financial resources is the most important thing. Yeah. That's where the issue lies right there.
I agree with that piece. Will I just give like a little pushback only from the standpoint of cultures are created by the people that are within those cultures and they reinforce it. So if the culture has to change, it has to be changed by those very people too. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to let the people off the hook on the culture. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? They still got something to do with what that culture is, good or bad.
Oh, 100%, Tim. You're correct.
What you're saying, Tim, is I don't want to let the hooks off the
hook. Precisely.
So with that being said, another great show, fellas. I love the twists and the spins that this show takes. We talking about sports, and then it got all into the culture and politics. So again, listen, y'all, meet us next week. Same bad time, same bad channel, right here. Joy 1340 AM, 98.7 FM. Also on YouTube and Facebook. Until next week, have an amazing week. Peace.